Do you know what kind of stupidity I hate the most? Sir Marcus roared. The young server lowered her head, hands trembling as she tried to pick up the olives, but he stomped her hand aside, pushing her back a step. Still cursing, I said, "No ice. You useless idiots." I was sitting by the pool, phone in hand, fully aware that everything needed to be recorded. No one would stop him. The manager stood by without lifting a finger, and the other guests turned away. But I knew that his arrogance, his violence, and his habitual abuse of power would eventually lead him to his own downfall. What he didn't realize was that, a few days later, he would be kneeling at the private dock, hands shaking as he gripped the yacht railing, face pale, unable to hide his fear with money or status. The man who once insulted and shoved the weak would ultimately be left powerless and full of regret. He was a typical European-American billionaire, middle-aged, slightly overweight but deliberately fit, thinning hair, always in the flashiest swim trunks and a gold watch. Now he stood at the private beach bar, one foot on a slippery wooden plank, face red as a ripe cherry. "What are you doing?" the young server, dressed in a clean white shirt and black apron, asked, trying to bend down to pick up the fallen olives, hands still trembling. "Doing? You brainless fool," Sir Marcus snapped, brushing her hand aside. I said, "Absolutely no ice. Who do you think you are, daring to make this joke in front of me?" He slammed the champagne glass onto the bar, liquid running along the wood. The sea breeze carried the smell of salt and ocean, but it did nothing to calm the fire on his face. I had been sitting in the lounge chair near the pool, just trying to enjoy my last cold drink and get a picture of my husband splashing in the water. But when I looked up, the scene froze in front of me, the young server curled up, arms crossed, tears streaming down her face, Sir Marcus's fists clenched as if he would attack any second, and the resort manager, a middle-aged woman in a neatly pressed light blue shirt, stood by the bar, hands on her hips, eyes flashing with a "this is not my problem" indifference. "Bring me a new martini now," Sir Marcus shouted, voice almost louder than the waves hitting the shore. "No mistakes. Either perfect or get out of my sight." The young server swallowed, whispering, "Why yes, sir, right away." She tried to pick up another glass, but her trembling made it clang against the tray. "You useless fool." Sir Marcus stepped toward her, pushing her back another step, almost making her fall. The wind lifted her hair, and she lowered her head, voice tiny as an ant. "I'm sorry. I'll do it again." "Enough." I stood up, holding my phone. "Manager, is this legal?" He just pushed her. The manager raised her eyebrows, smiling professionally. "Oh, you mean Sir Marcus? He is one of our distinguished members," she said, pausing, voice authoritative. "He owns 3 villas here and brings his yacht every season. And what does that have to do with him assaulting employees?" I ground my teeth. "You can't just let him treat people like this because he spends more money." The manager shrugged lightly, as if saying, "You don't understand the rules," her voice calm. "Our high-end guests have their own standards. Perhaps you don't understand. If you feel uncomfortable, maybe this isn't the hotel for you." Sir Marcus suddenly turned to me. "You little girl, are you accusing me? I can make you disappear in this country. Europe, Monaco, New York, everywhere I have people acting for me, do you understand?" My grip tightened on my phone, fingers trembling slightly, but my eyes were steady. "Your money doesn't put you above the law. You cannot abuse employees." He sneered, all arrogance. "Law? Little girl, I have power greater than the law. You better delete those photos now, or you'll regret it." The air seemed to freeze. I could see the young server cowering behind the bar, hands still shaking, while the resort manager frowned slightly, still doing nothing. Other beach guests mostly averted their eyes, avoiding the storm. I took a deep breath, gripping my phone. "You're threatening me?" "You just threatened that server, insulted her, splashed her drink, grabbed her wrist. I recorded all of it." Sir Marcus's mouth twitched, eyes flashing with anger. He almost leaped to the bar, reaching for my phone. "You dare? You dare record me? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what I can do?" Just as his hand was about to touch my phone, my husband rose from the poolside, his gaze icy. You touch her device, and I promise, you will pay for it. Sir Marcus froze, surprised by my husband's sudden appearance. The manager stepped back slightly, face flustered, still trying to remain composed. Please calm down, Sir Marcus, he's just a guest. My husband stepped closer, voice low and firm. I am not just a guest. I'm a labor lawyer. If you touch her again, I can contact the police and labor authorities immediately. Your actions just now constitute assault and workplace harassment. Sir Marcus's face turned red, teeth clenched. Why you think you can do anything to me? I know every lawyer around. I can drag you into court with a single call. I smiled lightly. Fine. Let's see how long you can hide behind your power. The wind, waves, and sunlight glinting on the water all seemed frozen. The tension felt like it could snap at any second. The young server finally gathered courage, whispering, "Thank you, someone stood up for me." I nodded, tightening my grip on the phone. I knew this conflict was just beginning. Back in our small villa at the resort, my husband was already at the balcony, organizing his notebook. The salty sea air filled the room, but my chest felt heavy. I kept thinking of the young server, curled behind the bar, tears running down her cheeks. You see clearly, my husband said softly, his voice sharp and steady. This is not just today. He's like this everywhere. If you want to protect yourself and them, we need to record everything. I nodded and handed him my phone. We quickly reviewed the footage, Sir Marcus raging, the server being pushed, the manager doing nothing. Every frame reminded me how the powerful could crush the weak with impunity. I recalled my own past. This wasn't my first time facing arrogance. I grew up in a modest family. My father was a factory technician, my mother a primary school teacher. Money was tight, but I learned early, if you don't fight for justice yourself, no one will. After college, I worked as an administrative assistant at a multinational company. The office looked glamorous, but hierarchy and power games were ruthless. My boss John, a middle-aged man in Italian suits, loved humiliating newcomers. Is this a report? Looks more like kindergarten crafts, he said once, tearing up my printed files in front of everyone. I kept my head down. I knew he held the power to make or break my career. The HR supervisor, Linda, would nitpick every move, telling you know your position doesn't allow negotiation. I learned to smile and endure, recording every injustice, knowing one day I'd turn the tables with evidence. These experiences shaped me, calm, observant, patient before power, quietly accumulating leverage. Sitting on the balcony, I reviewed the footage again. Sir Marcus's arrogance, the manager's bias, the server's fear, every flaw was exploitable. My husband sat beside me. We need more than photos. We need a chain of evidence. Every employee, every corner of video, anything that proves his abuse. I began organizing notes, employee names, shifts, witnesses, his prior behaviors, building a net that, once set, could not be escaped. Past humiliation and oppression became fuel. Justice was not slogans, it was precise, calm, and step-by-step execution. Over the next days, we stayed low, seemingly enjoying the resort, but secretly recording and verifying every detail. We installed small cameras in the restaurant, pool, and bar, legally capturing incidents. I spoke to employees, collecting stories of past abuse, every detail recorded by my husband with times, locations, and testimonies. We noticed that every time Sir Marcus got angry, the manager and security stood by. One afternoon, I asked Amy, a server, quietly, "Did he treat you like this before?" "Every season," she whispered. "He makes you feel worthless. No one defends you." I wanted to complain before, but I was afraid of losing my job. I held her hand gently. "Not this time. You don't need to be afraid. We will protect you." I realized revenge wasn't just for me, it was for all the helpless people. Throughout the stay, we stayed calm, barely noticeable. Every time Sir Marcus approached the bar, I secretly started recording, capturing threats, insults, and physical contact. Psychological tactics. I smiled politely, letting him think I was just an ordinary guest, harmless. Information gathering. I compiled internal staff lists, shifts, Sir Marcus's visit records, past complaints. Legal preparation. My husband studied international and local labor laws, mapping out complaint channels, even for cross-border action. This gave me confidence. Sir Marcus's arrogance and violence were provable. No money or power could shield him from the law. At dinner, Sir Marcus shouted again, "You all don't deserve me. Bring that dish now." The young server didn't dare look up, face pale. I squeezed my husband's hand, whispering, "He doesn't know, it's a trap." He nodded. Everything is recorded. The more he rages, the stronger the evidence. I knew the time for revenge was approaching. Past humiliation and oppression were no longer wounds, they were power. The sunny, breezy villa seemed peaceful, but in my eyes, this paradise was a chessboard. Every move was being plotted. In the following days, we acted decisively. We organized all videos, recordings, and employee testimonies, marking times, locations, and witnesses meticulously. Former employees came forward, recounting past abuse, completing the archive. My husband filed official complaints with the local labor board, listing every violation, physical assault, verbal abuse, workplace threats, and prepared civil litigation documents, specifying compensation and the resort manager's accountability. We stayed low, but every time Sir Marcus acted arrogantly, I recorded him secretly. He grew visibly uneasy, scanning staff and security, suspecting surveillance. You little people," Sir Marcus shouted, finger trembling at me. "I can destroy you." I replied calmly, "You can only destroy us in your fantasies." Security hesitated, unsure. Once loyal to him, they now kept distance, seeing the lawyer's files and labor board notices. Sir Marcus's voice wavered. I gave you a chance. Why? Because every act of your violence and threat leaves proof," I said. A few days later, we held a formal employee testimony meeting in the resort conference room. Amy spoke first, recounting abuse and threats, her voice rising with anger. Other employees followed, sharing past injustices, some silenced by fear, some by the need for references. All testimonies matched video evidence. Sir Marcus tried to interrupt, deny, and threaten, but every word was recorded. His face grew pale, voice trembling. You dare expose me." The labor board acted swiftly. Sir Marcus was banned from the resort, faced heavy fines. The resort manager, complicit in abuse, was fired and disgraced. Employees received compensation and official references. Amy used her payout to continue school, becoming a boutique hotel manager. His once grand yachts, watches, and lavish parties became jokes overnight. Partners withdrew, his overseas businesses were liquidated. One evening, I stood at the private dock, watching Sir Marcus grip the yacht railing, trembling, face pale. Fear shone in his eyes for the first time. You won't let me off, will you?" he whispered, almost begging. I didn't answer, turning to the sea, sunlight glinting on the waves, wind lifting my hair. Sir Marcus knelt, his arrogance utterly shattered. From the balcony, I saw employees standing tall again, exchanging smiles. Someone handed Amy a broom. She straightened her shoulders. My husband watched us, hand lightly holding mine. There were no grand declarations, no reflective summaries. Justice was delivered through action, evidence, and real-life change. Sir Marcus's name became history, and the once silenced finally breathed freely. Freely.